Welcome to the Bassin Brews podcast, your weekly distraction from other high-quality podcasts. And now, your host, Alex from Swamp Rat Fishing, and the co-hostess with the mostest, the Jabberhammer, Paul Roberts.
Hey-oh!
There it is. I was waiting for that.
I was singing a tune, and it surprised
sometimes me. You got it right away. Sometimes it's too early. Sometimes it's too late. Tonight's a late one, so we'll have to have Tori, the historian, mark those down as like fun facts at the end of the year.
I think Tori has fired you from ever listening to anything you ever say again.
Listen, Tori.
You're in the doghouse.
Tori, I'm sorry, but somebody had to say it. It's to motivate you. You're my dark horse pick for winning that Queen City tournament trail, and you're gonna have to do better than what you did in Lake Norman if you're gonna, hit those heights. So I did it all out of love because I want to see you succeed, and then also maybe you can afford real Swedish fish instead of. Did you see her TikTok? Like what were they called? Not Swedish fish, like Scandinavian swimmers.
Wow, that's not necessarily what I would have thought a candy name would be.
Yeah, no, that's horrible.
Scandinavian swimmers, huh? Interesting. I wonder what they come in. I'd love to see that packaging.
Or it could call it
dildo.
You could call it,
Instead of a Pez dispenser, it's a dildo, and you gotta pull it down, and one shoots into your mouth.
All right, well, we're starting off excellent. So
starting off with a bang.
Right. This week we've got Absolute Bassin TV. We've got Sean from over there. He's coming out of the Pacific Northwest. Mm-hmm. We were just talking before. His town is like just south of the town I grew up in, the old Aroma of Tacoma, and he's from Lakewood. Lord. So, yeah.
Born and raised. Yeah, not literally. I want to say I could get to the Tacoma Mall from my house in like 5-10 minutes, if that, depending on if people want to be idiots on the road.
Dude, that's so close because I actually went to what was the name? Stewart Middle School, which is just right by the middle or the Tacoma Mall.
Yep. Yeah.
Real funny.
That's crazy.
When I was, I think 12 or 13, I got banned from that mall because I shoplifted a shit ton of stuff. We were trying to do the whole, like, go to Foot Locker, try on shoes, and then put our old shoes in the box.
And then dip.
Yeah. And we had a security guard run after us. And I also happened to have an alcoholic beverage on me too. And the alcoholic beverage was slowing me down. So I went to pull it out of my pocket and turn around to drop it. And it was right when the security guard was falling. This is a no shit story. Right when the security guard was falling. So I turned around and ended up hitting him in the head with the bottle. So they tried to get me for assault. It was a whole thing. Those were.
That's probably why you joined the military, huh?
I had to run away. It was me beating up security guards drove me to a life of service.
The beer is not what was slowing him down, y'all. It was his little stubby ass legs.
I thought we were gonna go. I thought you were on a good pattern. We made fun of Clay last week for loving Harry Potter, and you didn't do one short joke. And then you're gonna start off in the first, not even 5 minutes.
I'm not under the weather this week, so I'm on my A game today. Man, you like Hank Hill's daddy, Cotton. Ain't got no shins. You got a grown ass man torso and like a 5-year-old legs.
You're not lying. I do have pretty short legs, but a normal torso. You're right.
No, my dad's right there with you, Alex. My dad's short too.
Listen, you know what they say about short guys? I don't know. I was going to come up with something
very
clever.
Angry.
Yeah,
they can't run away from Paul Blart the mock cop.
Those Tacoma Mall cops, they've seen some shit.
Lord.
They're like SWAT team in your town, Paul. Basically,
yeah. They don't call it Compton for nothing. It's a bad place, man.
They got tactical vest and all that shit
Tactical
on
segues.
zip ties on their
Yeah,
hip.
nothing surprises me coming out of there anymore. You know,
They got that ball with the rope around it, so when you're running, they throw it
Yeah.
to wrap you around.
No, they'll straight up like tackle you. They don't care now. You know, they don't care.
All right. Well, as Paul elegantly puts it, how did you? What's your story? How did you get to us on Bass and Brews here?
Well,
did I mess it
That's
up?
the worst. That lacks the ELOQUENT of eloquent, aka the whole fucking thing.
All right. Well, let's hear it, Paul. Let's hear it, Paul.
No, you go ahead.
I'm gonna get this down. No, I'm gonna get this down.
I'm gonna let you ruin it by starting it off with some bullshittery question. All right,
Well-
Absolute Bassin TV. What is your name? Where are you from? Who's your daddy? And what does he do?
My dad is an Amazon driver.
I'm being facetious. I'm being facetious.
Um,
No, but answer Alex's question.
My name is Sean Barrientos. Sean professionally. My dad calls me Junior. I've only been bass fishing since 2018. And when I was a kid, I hated fishing. You know, much rather be at the park, you know, playing
don't.
basketball. You know, it was like, you know, all there really was when I was a kid was trout and salmon, you know, or we would go to a lake, American Lake. There's a thing called Bill's Boathouse where the old man there, I don't know if it was Bill, I was real young, so I don't know if it was actually Bill of the Bill Boathouse, but, you know, he would tie your thing up if you were a little kid and you catch anything that bit. But, you know, my brother back in 2018 lived on, you know, my favorite lake, Lake Steilacoom. And he lived on the lake, and we would go out every time he'd stock it full of trout, you know, his little John boat troll, you know, with the Fox spinner, the size 2. We would just troll and just catch a crap ton of trout. And then I was on his dock, and I threw it out, reeled it in, and I was like, what the is that? You know what I mean? And I brought it up. I saw it. I was like, this is an ugly fish, but beautiful at the same time. What the hell is this? And I pulled it up by the line, and it snapped it. And then I asked my dad, because my dad and my uncle were part of a bass club up here. And I gave them the description. They're like, that's a largemouth bass, son. Are you stupid? You know, and then I was like, okay. So and then I went to Bass Pro, and I was, you know, asked them, I said, hey, how do I do this? You know, and then first technique I ever learned was a wacky worm, which kind of spoiled it for me because it's fishing for dummies, you know. If I ain't catching nothing, no matter how deep it is or how shallow it is, I'm gonna throw that out and I'm gonna catch something. But my first bass that I actually held in my hands, it's on my Instagram. I look like I saw Mickey Mouse for the first time. You know, I was at my brother's back door and I was like, you know, just looking stupid. But ever since then, man, like first one was 4.5, 5 pounds that I held in my hands. My second one was a smallmouth that was bigger than that. It's about 5.5. And ever since then, like every single day, I just can't get enough of it. If I'm not thinking of it, I'm watching it, still thinking of it. I'm sleeping, thinking of it. My wife kind of hates it sometimes, but you know, it's just, I have a weird passion for it. It's just drives me.
That'll do it. 2 5 pounds and one of them being a smallmouth. That'll
no kidding, right?
Yeah. No.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how spoiled some of you folks are that don't have largemouth bass. Where you're like, all I got to catch is fucking salmon. You know how much I'd love to go out and be able to catch a damn salmon and bring it home and eat some caviar and grill that thing up. That'd be delicious. I mean, I got to catch an 8-pound bass for me to even come over here and pretend it's a salmon.
But see, what it is we got so much salmon and trout that, you know, we consumed a lot of it in our Pacific Northwest lives, you know, so I can't smell it. I can't even eat fish now because of all the trout and salmon I ate. Like
You don't say salmon, right? So you need to work on that.
You're an idiot.
No, we say it right, Paul. We
do.
We've already gone through how do you pronounce the name Sal and all that. We're not going to do it here, but don't what the fuck y'all talking about.
I think it's I think it's really interesting. I had a very similar thing, right? Like I grew up fishing for trout, and in some ways, like when I talk to my dad, I'm like, yo, how come you tell me about bass? Like we've got decent fisheries there. No, instead I'm throwing power bait. Hopefully I can catch like 3 12-inch tiny rainbows. You know what I mean? Like bass fishing just wasn't big when I was a kid at all. Like where I was at, it was all trout and salmon or halibut or steelhead. You know, I mean, and those things are fun, but there is something different about a bass that is, I don't know. You know, it catches you and it bites you. They're just aggressive, gnarly little fish. It's more like hunting than it is like trout fishing, which is just I think trout fishing is boring as shit unless you're fly fishing. That's pretty cool. But
it is. All you do is literally cast it out and you do this and you just fish on.
Yeah.
You know, it's just there's something about bass fishing, figuring it out and all that kind of stuff. It just drives me, you know. But I left the whole tournament thing behind. I got too much of a competitive spirit, you know. So when I'm competing, I hate everybody, you know, even people on my boat. And I've yelled at my dad a few times, you know. I can't deal with it, you know.
It's your boat or his boat?
It's my boat.
Okay, well, you can yell at him on your boat.
That man gets scared, right? That man gets scared.
Your boat. It's still your boat.
Your
boat. You kick his ass off there if he got words. If he comes back with words, you throw hands and leave him. Make him swim to the bank, walk home.
Hey, I've tried that already, man. Well, how big my dad is, how short he is. I'm about 6'1", and he tore me up. I am not testing that again.
He had leverage.
Yeah. Oh Lord. No,
so you fish primarily out of a boat? Is that kind of your standard vehicle for doing this?
Yeah. I have a little 18-foot Ranger. I picked it up for dirt cheap, and I wanted to get off the bank. I'm not coordinated enough or balanced enough to be in a kayak. Being in a John boat with my brother was hell. You know, I can't imagine being in a kayak, you know. So I was like, nah, I just went from bank to boat.
A good kayak is way sturdier than a John boat.
I mean, that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
It is. You'd have to get in a good one to make sure, but it's way sturdy. I grew up in a John boat, and it'd be 2 or 3 of us in there farting around, and I about went in more on that than I have the kayak.
Yeah, I've sunk too many John boats, you know.
Oh, wow.
Being stupid.
Would you shoot a hole in it? Snake fall in there and you shot a hole in the bottom of the boat or something?
I'm one of those people, like, if you tell me don't push the red button. That's why I couldn't be president. Don't push that button, because if I sit in front of it, I want to see what's going to happen, you know. So like I would literally mess with my friends or family and dip the front of the John boat, and I did it way too hard one time, and we were swimming.
Wow. No.
I have a tendency to try to sink boats. I did that in my Ranger too. And
how the hell did you sink a Ranger?
Well, so this is when I didn't know how to drive a damn boat. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get a boat. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do it. Right.
You were that guy.
I was that guy. And what happened was there's a tournament, a big bass tournament on the east side of the state at Potholes Reservoir. And I had my trim all the way down, riding up this 4, 5, 6 foot wave. And so we went straight down, and my dad was in it. I think that's why he doesn't fish with me anymore. But we went all the way up, went down. I was expecting, like you see in the magazines and the shows, you know, you're going over it. Nope, we just went down in it, and I still have sand on my boat. It was a horrible experience.
Still has sand in the boat.
Huh?
Did you lose anything?
I shattered my plastic Lowrance holder, and I was too cheap to get the Bass Boat Technology ones. You know, I'm like, I spent all this money already. I'm not doing that. And then as soon as we got back out, I beached it on a dune and just left it for the rest of the day because I was so traumatized. I went back and it was snapped off, wire ripped out, you know, of a HDS 9 Live, and yeah, it was bad.
Are you sure that was from the accident and not one of those world famous potholes crackheads that maybe got to it?
It could have been a crackhead, but you never know. I wasn't there, so. Oh man, that was. And then
what got you to kind of the content creation? You know, I mean, that's kind of like, you know, one of the foundations of this show is content creators, and it does take a certain kind of a person but even just a certain kind of angler as well to want to start kind of putting content out there, whether it be pictures, videos, whatever else. So what kind of drove you to hit that avenue?
I like connecting with people, talking with people. I could talk to anybody, make friends with anybody. And I just felt like, the content creation and just bouncing ideas, with other anglers and, talking with people from across the country. My dad's from North Carolina, so I wanted, I knew you'd like that. Yep. He's from Fayetteville. So
Vietnam. That's about an hour away from me.
That's what he says too, Fayetteville.
Is he in the military?
No. My grandpa was. My grandpa was.
I was about to say, if he lived in Fayetteville on his own premonition, then man, that's a tough man right there.
No, my grandma, my dad's mom is born and raised there. And
wow.
my grandpa was stationed over there. They came back here to Yakima, had my dad and my uncle moved back, and then they moved back again.
Quick funny story about Fayetteville. So if you ever saw or Band of Brothers or read the book, in the book, when they came back, when the Easy Company got back to the States, the first place they came was Fayetteville. And I can't remember which one it was, but he's quoted as saying he'd rather been back at the Battle of the Bulge than Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Is it that bad?
I guess it was in the 40s, the mid 40s, but
yeah,
it used to be a rough place. It's not quite as rough anymore, but I tell you what, we got some good fishing down in Fayetteville area. We've had some folks from that area up on the podcast. But anyway, continue on.
Well, what drives me to do the content creation more, I mean, I was just doing it. If you look at my Instagram, it doesn't take long to get to my first bass, that I ever caught. But I was out with a couple people, especially people from the club, fun fishing. And they're like, hey, you could actually fish, for somebody who hasn't been doing it that long. You should start taking pictures of these things. You don't catch dinks. I do catch dinks, but, I think they're kind of trying to gas me up, but they're like, you should start, putting it on the internet. So I did, and it's brought me to, build some relationships, talk with other people and all that kind of stuff. So,
I mean, we kind of talked about that before we came on. It's really cool, especially when you start doing it a little bit and you start seeing you start seeing that you have an audience for whatever you're doing. It's a pretty cool feeling to do that.
Yeah, what is driving me more is back in November, I only had like 300 followers, and out of nowhere, I have 1,085. That's not very long ago. And I was like, maybe I'm doing something right. Maybe I need to continue to do this, but scheduling, and truth be told, I'm a fair weather fisherman. It rains 9 months out of the year up here. We have hot rain, cold rain, frozen rain, so
sideways rain.
Yeah,
rain from the ground,
all
big
the things,
drops, little drops. Forrest Gump reference. I used to have a better Forrest Gump.
I mean, kind of sound like them. It's all right.
Look,
I will say,
mean. You can be mean on this podcast. You don't have to be nice. You can be
100%.
Okay, well,
I feel like we abused Clay so bad last week, and if you like,
I heard.
You did.
Oh man, that clip of the one, it didn't really dawn on me until I was putting those clips together, and I saw the one where he's just like, you can see it in his eyes, where he's like, if you one more fucking Hogwarts reference, like,
yeah, no, I was like, oh, thank God I'm not a Harry Potter, Harry Potter guy. But then I was like, man, I'm a nerd though. Like, I can't really talk shit about, the Harry Potter people when I'm obsessed with my Star Wars and my Marvel,
I mean, that's just the same. That's just the same as Harry Potter.
Just as bad as some damn Harry Potter.
I'm going to have to respectfully disagree on that, sir.
No,
hey,
see, I feel like the big Star Wars guys are basically like hipsters. They're like, listen, we were nerds first, so we're better.
I'll tell you what, I understand. I like Star Wars. I understand Star Wars. What the hell's the dumbass one?
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
That thing is. I could go on hours about how stupid that is. How stupid Lord of the Rings is.
Yeah, whoa! Don't be talking about shit about Lord of the Rings. That's
I'm gonna tell you straight up. Okay, this is the movie. Ready? They party, then they have to go destroy the ring. They walk for 3 fucking movies. And then they take the Eagles back to their little hobbit town that came at the very beginning. We wasted 3 hours of walking, and and talking when you could have just hopped on that big ass eagle to destroy it?
No, I mean, that's a good point. They should have had that eagle, like whoever that, I think Gandalf was a broke ass drunk. And I think he got so drunk, he forgot where he parked the eagles. And that's why
exactly
they couldn't use him.
Happened. Whatever he was smoking too kept him from remembering.
Hey,
right.
What the hell's in that big ass aquarium behind you?
Well, unfortunately, I'm looking the wrong damn way. I had a Florida strain largemouth in there. Somebody sent it to me. Like somebody, yeah. All right. So, so what happened is I caught one out of the lake, right? A little fry, and it was upside down, and my poor baby. So I brought it home and it died, and my kids were devastated, right?
You brought
him home a dead fish
and then devastated.
No, it lived, but see, I'm gonna blame my child. He put yogurt in the tank, and and so I put it on Instagram, like 2-3 years ago that my kid's fish died, and some guy that like breeds them somewhere was like, we'll send you some. And I got like 5 in a little thing. They were lost in the mail for like 7 days, and I got them, and they were still all alive, but the biggest one won. He ate all the rest of them, and but I came home one day, like a dog, hey, how's it going? Tapping the thing, and he was belly up, and I was like, oh fuck, my fish is dead.
Yogurt again. Listen, they're lactose intolerant. They can't be eating that yogurt.
I looked. I made sure there was no yogurt because I was about to start yelling.
You were devastated. You see how you made your kids feel?
Yeah, I was. I feel their pain.
That's funny as hell. Sad. Somebody mailed you a sack of Florida strain bass.
Yeah, so I was actually gonna like try to breed them and release them here. It's illegal,
It's super illegal. Yeah,
it's super illegal. But I heard something about F1 hybrids, and I was like, I'm after that.
It's super. That's like it's probably a really bad idea. That's probably like ecosystem wrecking level.
Yeah, so it's probably, it's fucked up to say, but maybe it's for the best he's not in that tank anymore.
This is what I'm hearing is somebody mailed you a bunch of Florida strain bass that you put in that tank until they grew big enough for you to take them out and put them into one of your waters, and that's why that tank's empty.
I'd tell you if I did that,
Sure.
I would divulge that information.
So the first water strain that comes out of the waters up there, people are gonna be come knocking on your door.
Apparently they're already here. Apparently, like in what was that? I was told that Potholes Reservoir, where all the fishing tournaments are in the state, that they're over there.
I thought they're restricted. So I thought those F1s, they have an issue with the cold weather, correct?
I don't know. I try to look it up, but I'm one of those people, if I don't see the first sentence of all the Google things, I'm like, nah.
Yeah, so my understanding of the Florida strain, and I'm sure somebody will let me know that I'm fucking wrong, because that's what our brewskis do. But my understanding of Florida strain has an issue with dealing with cold weather. So I know Potholes is Eastern Washington, which gets insanely hot during the summertime, but it also gets cold as fuck during the winter.
They only have 2 seasons.
Yeah,
hot,
exactly.
Hot as fuck, or it's snowing and everything freezes.
Totally. Are you near Hell's Canyon?
Hell's Canyon.
Are you near Hell's Canyon?
I don't think so. Even if
I've never Kettle Falls. You know where Kettle Falls, Washington is? Up near Canada.
Yeah, that's up in like Snohomish County. That's like way at the top in Snohomish.
I know more about your fucking state than you do.
I know.
Sure
I've been
you live there?
Yeah. I've been here for 34 years. I'm pretty sure that I don't.
Total fun fact about Washington. It's the only state that has a mountain range, a rainforest, and a desert all within its state borders. Yeah. So
it's very weird.
It's a weird fucking state. That's why I left.
It's very, very weird. It's very weird.
I derailed you from us talking about Star Trek because I didn't want to throw up on my microphone and computer. So we can get back to talking about whatever it was before Star Trek. Somehow,
I can't remember.
You killed it, Paul. You derailed the whole show. You're the agent of chaos.
I just created the shortest show ever. All right, guys.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
Everybody have a good one. It's a wrap.
All product Star Trek. We're over 25
Sean
minutes.
loves Star Trek, and we're sending all of this footage directly to the National Fish and Wildlife. So you guys have a good one.
Washington Fish and Wildlife. We don't have the greatest relationship at all. We don't.
So what's really funny is I grew up hating the green shirts, right? Like the dudes, the game wardens, and it's just because my grandparents. My grandfather didn't like him very much because he thought that you shouldn't have to buy licenses and you should be able to do whatever you want because, that's our right. And he had I remember seeing them a lot. Like we would do fly fishing. We'd go out to Eaton Claw and go fly fishing, like some of the creeks out there. And then we would do yep. So we'd go out there and then we would do all over the place. Right. But we'd always as soon as you'd park, bam, there was a fucking truck right there. Bam, they want licenses right away, checking everything.
I mean, I get it, but I don't get it at the same time because the salmon is a pivotal, historic part of the state.
Yep.
It's pivotal, right? And the numbers have dwindled and all that stuff, and they try to blame since I became a bass angler, they try so hard to get rid of them here. They don't like bass for some reason. I don't really understand it. But it's really the yellow perch that kind of eats all the salmon smolt. And then you got orcas and sea lions coming into the freshwater lakes. And then not the orcas, but the sea lions and the seals get into the, rivers and streams. And then they eat all the
shit's
salmon.
Real wild in Washington. You're going to be out there in a paddle boat on a little lake. All of a sudden, fucking Willie pops up out of nowhere. Just a full orca in a lake.
Well, no, I'll tell you why they don't want largemouth bass up there, because they're fucking invasive.
They're invasive for Washington State.
Well, largemouth bass native range is the Mississippi River, and any tributary outside of the Mississippi River, the largemouth is an invasive species. But it's America's fish, so you can't get rid of it. And I know why the Department of Fish and Wildlife there were so uptight, because listen to you two criminals. All y'all talked about since we've been here is breaking the damn law.
Yeah, well, it's the Wild West. No, it's the Wild West out there. We're free people out there. We're free people.
Or I'm a vigilante trying to save the sport up here.
Could be that. But what's really funny is I just growing up, I saw them all the time, and then I start fishing again in New Jersey. On the water, I've seen one.
Really?
I've been bass fishing since 2016. I've seen one Fish and Wildlife on the water. And there, I saw another one, but I called him and he had to show up for something that was going on. Right. And then, but that's all I've seen. I've had to deal with them in my line of work, but they don't touch freshwater here at all. They are concerned with striped bass, huge thing in New Jersey. So they're all sitting at the docks waiting to count fish, but freshwater, there's none. So if you want to be an illegal fisherman, come on down to the Garden State, and you can poach as many chain pickerel as you would like.
Let me tell you a little secret about game wardens. 99% of the time, they see you and you never see them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Masters of their craft.
Yeah, but I feel I don't know, there's some of the lakes I go to, you're right, but some of the lakes I go to are smack dab in the middle of a city. It's not wildernessy at all. There's a highway, there's a rehab on one side and a hotel on the other one.
Yeah, they ain't worried about that fish.
They're not there. Yeah.
So Lake Washington up in Seattle connects to the Puget Sound, where the salmon come in. So they're always up there, but it's such a great bass fishery too. You can catch crappie, walleye, smallmouth, largemouth, perch, pretty much anything, any kind of panfish you want, salmon, trout, monster trout, monster salmon. But they're up there all the damn time. And sometimes, like you said, you'll be minding your business and all of a sudden, hey, you have all this required stuff that you need in your boat. And my boat's a damn mess. I'm like, hold on, give me a second.
Dude's trying to whittle a life jacket real quick.
Yeah. He's got a dirt bait over there cutting holes in it, trying to make a whistle.
That fucking whistle. we had now that I'm officially out, right? So there was one summer where Station Atlantic City here in New Jersey, the small boat station for the Coast Guard, tried to not hammer, but like really pay attention to all the kayakers that we have in the area who are fishing saltwater. And they drafted this whole plan. And the thing they were going to go after was fucking whistles, because they know that no fucking kayaker normally has a whistle on them. And they would literally go through everything, and they'd have to call me up, and they're like, oh, we've got 10 kayaks ready to process violations. I'm like, cool, what's the violations? They're like 10 whistle violations. I was like, come on, man. Are you fucking kidding me? And it's like it's not a state ticket. It's a federal ticket. So it's like a $400 fine. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
So you have to have a whistle on you? Like,
yeah.
Well, really? Any boat has to have some kind of
sound producing device, but the state of New Jersey specifically states that if you're in a kayak, you have to have a whistle.
Hey,
yeah.
That whistle's important. We've had, I think, 2, but we've definitely had one that whistle he thinks helped save his life. I'm pretty sure it was Greg Blanchard talked about when he flipped his kayak and it was cold day, cold water, and he was blowing the whistle and the guys in the boat hurt him. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I think we've definitely had 1, maybe 2 where, they got into some trouble and that whistle helped them out.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it, I have a bunch of noisemakers in my boat, so you can hear me.
The engine, the trolling motor, me.
The little horn, me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Paul, you're absolutely right. And
I'm always right. I don't talk unless I'm right.
I get frustrated when we get and those safety things are absolutely important. I made a whole career on people who didn't follow that shit, right?
Yeah.
And we'd have to go get them. I totally get it. And there's a lot of talk about like life jackets, also super important.
Always
kayak,
have that thing.
Right?
Always have it attached. Like if you're in a boat, always have that attached.
But here's what kills me is we stress about it so hardcore in the kayak world, right? And like even if we're just sitting there, because like you don't know what's going to happen, you could fall out of the kayak, and if you don't have a PFD on, you're dead. But in the boat world, that's not the same. Dudes aren't putting those jackets on until they're flying down the lake. But if they're just sitting there, using the trolling motor, just like I'm doing it in the kayak, somehow it's okay for them not to have one, but I'm expected to have one on at all times. And God forbid you put a fucking picture or a video on YouTube and you're not wearing a fucking life jacket in a kayak, you will get ran through the fucking coals. Because I used to not wear one, right? Until I got like the self-inflatable ones. And then I wore it I basically was wearing the big bulky ones so people wouldn't fucking bitch at me anymore. And I was fucking tired of it. Like, we don't hammer boats for doing that, because I've seen plenty of boater. I never see a guy with a life jacket on unless he's murked up flying down the river, right? But normally, if you're just sitting there fishing, there's just as many stumps. Yeah. You could just as easily fucking hit something, just like a kayak could, and fall out.
I mean, but in our defense, we can see the stump, well before you guys can. I mean, I get what you're saying.
What? No way.
I mean, we're standing up.
I'm standing up too.
Oh, yeah.
Or people lose their lives falling out of canoes and kayaks and shit like that than they do boats. They just using the facts.
Do you think it's more people? I don't know.
I'm just saying that shit.
That's a wrong fact. I don't really know. Yeah, I was about to say that's a wrong fact, because I have, again, made a career of pulling dumbasses out of saltwater environment, very little kayaks, like mostly boats. And it's mostly.
Here's the deal. That life jacket ain't inhibiting you doing nothing. Matter of fact, mine is part of my shit. If I ever go out, like, I've worn a life jacket ever since I started fishing on a kayak, but that's where my phone goes and what it's tethered to. That's where, I keep my wallet and shit. Like anything, if I was to get
a hot summer day, you're okay with leaving that thing on.
100%. I'm
Fuck
fat
me,
as
dude.
fuck.
No
I've got
way.
a good one. I've got a good one that doesn't it in full coverage. You know,
Doesn't it chafe
it's
your nipples because you don't have your shirt on?
no. I have a long sleeve hooded shirt on.
Oh, I go out with no shirt on, and then if I got to put that thing on, I'm getting runner's nipple on that one.
Well, put some tape over them like runners
Just
do,
like
or
runners do, yeah.
Vaseline, or some Vaseline, or cut them bitches off. You don't have to worry about them no more. Ain't nobody sucking on them anyway.
That would be the best. Like me lining up at the boat ramp, right? I'm already loading up the kayak. I already got to deal with like 70-year-old men who are telling me just to get a boat, and do I really need that many fishing poles? And then they got to watch me put tape on my nipples before I put my life jacket on.
You gotta use Gorilla Tape too and heat it up first.
Oh,
So it doesn't come, because if you put cheap tape on there as it rubs, it's just gonna ball it up, make it worse.
Speaking from experience?
yeah. Sounds
No,
like you've
no.
been through it a couple times.
Well, I mean, y'all ain't never seen how pasties do when you put a shirt over the top of them.
No, because I don't put pasties on. You wildland firefighters are a different
Right.
breed.
Hey, fire's fashion and fire line is my runway.
Fire's fashion. You're an idiot. All right, man. I know that one of your things is swim baits. What kind of pushed you to moving to a swim bait? You said you love the wacky worm, but again, like we're people in content always talk about niching down, but you have like fully niched down because that swim bait culture is a whole nother subsect of bass fishermen.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a cult. Like, I'm not gonna front on that, man. It's like you think hipsters and Harry Potter are bad. Jesus Christ. But I've been spoiled with my first bass, right? So I've been the thought is bigger bait, bigger bass, right? We have big fish here. We have big, double-digit bass here. They've been caught here. People always blur out the background, which is fine. Do you? But I started throwing them about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and I was, with the S waiver, the 168 S waiver, and then the HUD, just trying to get that bite. I've lost so many fish on the HUDs. I just fish them straight out of the package. And then I started doing more research and all that kind of stuff, really following Butch Brown and watching how he does stuff. And I switched to the Depths 250. Then I really got into the resin, the garage baits more religiously, I guess you could say, in the last year. But I've been dealing with the glide baits and the soft baits for a while. But I mean, I'm one of those guys, like those guys will, from launch, from the first cast to the last cast, they're throwing big glide baits, which I get. But I know when to put it down. You know what I mean? Like if I'm not getting any luck, if I'm getting a bunch of followers, there's countless times where I've thrown a 7-inch 4-ounce bait, and I've had followers, big followers, and I put it down and threw out a wacky worm and caught that fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would not commit to the glide bait. I mean, I'm obsessed with glide baits, but I'm not like live or die by them, if that makes sense.
I thought it was really interesting. I think that was before the show too. We're talking about Polinick, right? And so since I was gone this last year, I've been rewatching because that guy has some of, if not the best, arguably the best fishing content on YouTube. His videos are top fucking notch. He knows how to it's all edited properly. It's got the right amount of fishing to a right amount of off the water stuff. It's like perfect. But I didn't realize, and this is all of 2020, his 2022 series. And I didn't realize how much he throws a swim bait. He was chucking it like every fucking tournament. And I just never realized that. I figured, I know him as like a drop shot guy, so I didn't know if it's something new or something he's always done, but it's really cool to kind of see him. And he was talking about using those swim baits to oh shit, I got a bunch of followers. I'm going to put it down. And now I'm going to pick apart that area. Almost like using it like a fish finder.
Yeah, it's a damn good search bait. I mean, last time I went out, I only caught one fish, but I was throwing, the glide bait. The water temp was 45 degrees, 44 degrees. And I had one follower, and I knew to put it down, and I kept throwing at the area that I saw it come from. But I still cycle through the baits. You know what I mean? I know by the head shake or how I twitch it if they're going to commit or not. you know, you got to know when to put it down. You know what I mean? You got to know when to not be cool and put it down.
Yeah,
Those tournament guys don't get paid with followers.
Right.
So if they ain't getting bit, they just getting followers. This time we got to catch some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he was on, I think he was on the Harris chain, and he was talking about, like, he just chucked that fucking swim bait all over the place. And I feel like, it's like him and Zaldane are the only guys, I guess, just chucking big, giant swim baits the bulk of the time.
I mean, I've learned the little bit of tournaments that I've done is you get your fish, you know, you get your 5, you get your limit, you know, then it's time to cull. It's, you know, the rest of the time is trying to, you know, get that kicker, you know, get that bigger fish, you know, start culling. So, I mean, I get it, you know, but if that kicker, that bigger fish is not committing, you got to pump your
See,
baits.
I'm always scared. Like, I mean, I still stand by, I think most people fish swim baits for the clout. I do stand by that because swim baits are fucking cool. Like, they look awesome. I just got that new small trace from 6 Cents, the 5-inch one. And it's amazing. It looks awesome in the fucking water. It looks like a goddamn fish. It's fucking cool.
Yeah. Wait till you catch one on it. Then your whole entire thought process.
I've just in the last like 3 months, I think I've bought a shit ton of these. So my concern is that Jersey doesn't have monsters. So I can't be throwing, and I know some guys do, but I can't be throwing around a giant HUD or a giant S-Waver, right? Because that's going to be bigger. Like, I'm just worried that I'm missing fish because I don't necessarily need the biggest fish.
You never know.
You do,
Alex,
right?
Alex, I thought you'd be more scared of throwing it off.
Fuck you. That is a concern as well. I fucking hate you, Paul. But like, so I bought a shit ton. Like, I bought a bunch of the sleeper gills not too long ago. The dark sleeper, but little different profile. So I'm messing around with like these smaller ones. And the trace looks good. I think it's probably I thought it was going to be a lot smaller because Guggen had the Contender Junior, and that was like a really small, hard body. But when I threw this trace out in the water, and it was just today I threw it out, and man, it looks like a goddamn fish in there. It looks fucking cool. I got a shiner pattern. It looks awesome. I'm gonna make some dope slow-mo content of just the bait, like in the grass, maybe the bait at the grocery store. Just never actually like me catching a fish because I won't.
You never know, man. What I did with those big glide baits was I put everything in my rod locker, locked it, you know, and just forced myself to do it for 6-7 months straight, you know, learning how to actually, you know, use it, what they want to see, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But you never know. I know there's a lot of people in the Northeast that, you know, throw big baits and catch big fish, you know, up in Maryland, New York, and all that kind of stuff. You'd be surprised what's in there.
They got a lot bigger fish than we have in New Jersey. Our fish are fucking small little mutants like me. They're like we don't have our freshwater scene. Our freshwater scene is not really good. Like when I talk to people and they're like, God, you started fishing in New Jersey, and like I'll get a lot of messages like, oh, yo, like a striper blitz is happening or this and that. I'm like, yo, I barely do saltwater. And that's like king here. Like striped bass, these fucking psychopaths are out like in the surf up to their elbows, which isn't very far for me, as Paul would say. I'm just going to beat Paul to every single joke.
This is how you get people to quit picking on you.
Yeah,
is you give them an accusation audit. You go ahead and say all the shit that they gonna say about you. You just go ahead and throw it all out there. And
you got to make fun of yourself, you know.
But that doesn't work with me because, you know,
because you're an asshole.
I'm a sociopath. So, hey, Alex doesn't saltwater fish anymore because he made a video a couple of years ago. And people really got mad at him because he gave away the biggest honey hole in New Jersey, and so he got scared, and I think he got threatened, and he was like, you know, yes, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, and then they banned him from fishing.
I wonder if Joe listens to it. The guy I went out with, he's a super awesome guy, and he was a weird connection I made off Instagram, right? And we had been buddies on Instagram, like chit chatting, and he's mostly a saltwater. And then kind of a multi-species. He's really not a bass guy at all. And so finally I went out with them. We took our kayaks out. We had a great time. I caught my first striper. I caught my first toe tog, caught my first oyster fish. Like it was a great trip. And I edited up the video and he was like, hey, do you mind if I could see the video before you post it? I was like, yeah, sure, dude. And I'm not used to hiding anything. He's like, listen, man, you got to blur out the background. I was like, fuck, dog, I don't know how to fucking do that. Like, I'm going to have to like research this. And it was almost to the point where I didn't even release the video. And I did try to blur out as much as I could, but those guys get real fucking salty about fucking everybody in New Jersey is so fucking salty about spot burning. It drives me up the fucking wall.
There are those kind of anglers out there, whatever angling you do, you know, how dare you put up this spot? I could tell anybody where I fished, what dock number it was, what I was using, what line I was using, what rod I was using, what time of the day, what the conditions are. And it doesn't mean they're going to catch the fish. They still got to put in the work, still got to do the technique. So I don't give a fuck. I'll put any kind of background, I'll put it up. I caught it underneath dock 184.
Dude, that should be your
change that shit.
Right, but that should be your gimmick, dude. You should make YouTube videos, right? But the whole time have a live GPS feed of where you're at exactly.
Make sure it's all live videos.
Yeah, well, no, as you're fishing, like right before you catch a fish, you pause it and then you put up the GPS coordinates real big on the screen.
Just type it up and have it pop up on the screen.
Exactly, just like boom, this is where I'm at.
and then a quick cut of you frying that fish up. And eating it.
Paul's
an 8-pounder.
Paul's trying to do this for.
Those have the best caviar.
Paul's doing this for the heat. He's trying to, we've been trying to be a little nicer lately. We had a real drama-filled January, I guess. We're trying to be nicer. Paul doesn't want to. He wants to bring more heat.
I mean, everybody likes warmer weather, right?
Yeah.
You can bring on the heat. I love the warm weather.
Yeah, come bring your ass down here to North Carolina in July and August, and see how much you like that shit. You got
spent a year in Arkansas though, so I mean, I got a taste of it.
Yeah, you got the places in damn Arkansas got shitty weathers we got here,
and we got to figure something out because I don't want to see any videos of you trying to rig up some weird fan system, and then you going on TikTok begging for people to feel bad for you, because that's what you did about you last year. You're like, look at all this shit I gotta do to get this podcast out. I got a fan, I got a door.
You ain't got no AC?
But I'm out here in my fucking garage. The only AC I got is when I turn the ceiling fan on, and then all it's doing is circulating a bunch of fart-filled hot air. Hell no.
You gotta get some of them. You gotta get some portable ones, man. I have those on deck. I have like 4 of them.
Total side note, Paul. What happened? Paul, what happened to the other chair, the fart-filled green chair?
So that's still set up. That looks at my 72-inch flat screen TV. That's also in the garage where I watch football.
That's when the wife gets mad at you and kicks you out to the garage.
Do you sleep in there too?
No, not yet. But that's all set up. I got me a nice little desk set up that I got everything out here in. And so when the kids are home and shit, and I'm trying to do work, I can come out here and do it. But I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do in the summertime. I'm going to have to move all my damn work shit back up to the upstairs. It's office, which is also in the playroom. Y'all see what the kind of shit I got to deal with? My office is in the playroom in this big ass open room at the top of the stairs. I get it, man. I get it. And now to get quiet, peace and quiet, to record and shit, I'm out here in this hot ass garage. Or when it's the winter time, I got the propane heater on here for an hour, heating it up. And so the first 30 minutes of the podcast, I'm lucky to be alive.
I mean, and honestly, you're like a pro because I'll fucking shamelessly plug for you again. Entertainingly educational is Paul's other podcast, and it is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, like, I've been listening.
Right?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I really wish that you would bring that A game to this show because it's phenomenal.
I did for a year and a half. I need a fucking break.
I need a break.
No, I mean, I'm I love the hot weather. Like I said, we get 9 months of fucking rain here. Like we get 3 different kinds of fucking rain here. It's hot rain, cold rain, or freezing rain. So every time it's sunny out, right? I'll still have a hoodie on. I'll still have pants on and all that. I love it. When I was in Arkansas, my
the humidity, bro. The humidity.
I still have a hoodie on. I just I love it. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me, but I hate
the East Coast humidity. If I can get rid of that, I'd be fine. I did not mind that about Washington. Was we don't have any of that fucking humidity because it just rains.
My favorite fishing is in the dead of summer when it's offshore and you're fishing, offshore structure and stuff. I like that kind of fishing, and that's when the fish are set up on that shit. And around here, we get the schoolies, and you start chasing schoolies, and I mean,
what else are you chasing, Paul? Busting shad.
Oh yeah, when the bass start busting shad. I don't chase the shad. I chase the bass busting the shad.
We don't have any of those up here.
Yeah, I was about to say. So, what's your primary forage? Would it be bluegill?
Bluegill, pumpkin seed. I know, like down
and trout,
south
right?
is trout. Yeah, trout. Like what? Perch, crappie. There's a sculpin or goby. They're the same fucking fish. Yellow perch, trout. There's like 2 different kind of trout up here. 3 different kind of trout: cutthroat, rainbow, stock rainbow. Then there's brown trout up here. They eat salmon smolt apparently.
Yeah. But I saw a video of a giant bass that had like half a kokanee down its fucking throat, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Because
kokanee is a landlocked salmon, and they live out the rest of their life. They spawn and all that shit inside the lakes. American Lake, the deepest part is like 90 something feet. Yep. You get people that troll for kokanee all the time. I caught a kokanee on one time. I didn't know what the fuck it was. To be honest with you, I was like, "What the fuck is this? Is the biggest ass trout I've ever seen in my life." And somebody's like, "No, that's a kokanee." And I threw it back in the water. Like, what are you doing? Like,
they're delicious.
Ate too much of this shit. I don't want it.
I've caught them at
American I'll eat largemouth bass.
Do you know where has kokanee? That's like so I think a lot of people think of Washington fishing as like you're gonna be out. There's fucking mountains, an eagle flies by, lands on your shoulder. The bears are frolicking, right? Like I grew up fishing a shit ton of Spanaway Lake, which is like fucking a trash lake in the middle of fucking nowhere, right? But
my biggest largemouth is out of the lake. You better be nice about that lake.
Listen, I've heard that there's big bass there, but as a kid, we would go for trout and kokanee out of there because you can troll up. We would troll in a canoe with a little fucking outboard on the back of it. But yeah, once I learn about bass, I look it up. I'm like, motherfucker, if we would have just been throwing some plastic worms instead of fucking power bait and big ass fucking spoons looking for fucking kokanee and shit.
Well, so I know you. So you've been to Spanaway. As soon as you get into that part, right, there's that little pond there, right, that feeds into the main lake. Before I had the boat, I was bank beating. I was throwing frogs, anything and everything, to try to get that bigger bite. My biggest largemouth was on a river to sea, Little Allen color, Bullywah 2.
Okay.
The smaller one, I think it's like a 55. I caught a 9.5 pound largemouth with one damn hook in its fucking mouth.
The fuck?
Yeah, they're in there. It's I don't know if it's because the tweakers dispose stuff there that help out the fish.
It could be all the meth, right? Yeah.
Right. Or the homeless population. I don't know what's going on in the lake. It's such a small lake, but the fishing there is just fucking amazing. I would never eat anything out of there.
No.
But bass fishing,
we did because we were fucking degenerate white trash and we're gonna eat fucking whatever we catch. But I think you might have just blown the cover off this. There might be the Florida F1 strand, right? There might be that northern bass, but I think Washington, I think, has the M1, the meth strand of bass. Yeah. It's just fueled by methamphetamine and Starbucks coffee.
Are we going to get a methamphetamine bass movie like Cocaine Bear?
Oh, you know what? I might write and direct that. That sounds like an amazing story.
Meth bass, like the bass is super cool. He's kind of shady and he will steal your shit. You put him in your live well, you go to open it up. There's no live well. He's gone and he's got your trolling motor.
Hey, good luck trying to measure that motherfucker on a measuring board in a kayak.
You know what's so funny?
What's wrong with this bass? Oh, that's an M1 strain. He's methed out. You know, he's tweaking right now. Good luck.
Those fish at that lake, at Spanaway Lake, they're some hard fighters. So they probably are the M1. You know,
the M1s.
train over there.
What's funny though is that little pond. I specifically remember like riding my bike to Spanaway. It's a different time, obviously. You can't do that now because you're gonna get shanked. And but I remember riding there with a full fucking fly fishing setup, like a fucking dork. And I would try to fly fish out of there, and I'd catch like little trout or whatever. And maybe I fucked myself up. I specifically remember seeing like green fish go for my fly and me pulling it out because I thought it was a catfish. I didn't want to catch catfish. Fuck that thing. I didn't want anything to do with it. I bet you those were giant bass the whole time that I was like, no, fuck that.
Probably were. There's a guy, a local guy here that works at Bass Pro Shop. He goes fly fishing for smallmouth there because we have smallmouth and largemouth
in Spanaway.
Up here. Yeah, every lake up here. We have smallmouth and largemouth. Like I could go to Lake Steilacoom, launch my boat. I can go straight to the point, points, rocks, catch a smallmouth and be like, I'm going to go fucking shallow and I'm going to try to get these 8-9 pounders that are swimming around here. You know what I mean? Every one of our big lakes up here have smallmouth, largemouth. I wish we had spots. I've never seen a spot in my life. But.
Hey, Pops, if you're listening, get the shitty trolling motor ready and that trash Coleman canoe, because maybe I'll make a visit home just to fucking go bass fishing.
It's fun, and that's the weird thing is we're on the West Coast, right? And you hear all the time in California having, of course it's a warmer climate. They're gonna have larger fish, but we have double digits here too.
That's
we have
insane.
Great bass fishing here.
I wouldn't have thought you'd have a population of dubs like that there.
Oh, we do. I mean, what Butch Brown has said is any place that they stock trout, there's going to be a double digit in there.
Right? Because they stock trout in New Jersey, and we don't have fucking double digits. So
I mean, you don't know. You never know.
No, I know. We don't.
Well, everybody's catching them, but Alex.
Listen, Paul. Paul, how many fish have you gotten in 2023?
Still 0.
Okay, just making sure
because I haven't been.
Nope. Listen, we're gonna do a weekly update every episode, and we're gonna mark it now. I'll come up with some catchy name, and we're gonna have a year-long competition, Paul, and it's gonna be who catches the most fish, and we're gonna update every week, right? And it's gonna be a quick 2-second thing. I don't know what we'll call it. It'll be some dumb name that I changed 9 million times. But
only bass, no fucking jackfish, no
only bass. Like that. Nope.
Only
so
bass.
Right now, Paul, right now I'm at 2. So we can mark it now. I'm at 2. Paul's at 0. And it's February, and we run a fishing podcast, and we obviously don't go fishing a lot.
I haven't touched again. I think I've alluded to this 2 or 3 times. I still ain't touched my fucking rods. They tucked away in the corner. I ain't even been close enough to touch them yet. I haven't brushed up against them.
Do you not fish anymore? Or?
Oh, he does.
No, I do. I just haven't been. Work's been crazy.
He's got crazy work shit. He's running 2 podcasts, one that he gives half energy, one that he gives full energy. So he's a busy man.
I got tournament seasons coming up though, so I know I'll at least be fishing about once a month, depending on where the tournaments are. But yeah, should be a great tournament season. I have my sights set at about as tall as Alex.
And what KFL team are you on this year?
None.
Oh, okay, just checking.
I don't.
Didn't you sink a whole entire league?
According to Drew and Alex, according to them, but look, if you're gonna be known for anything,
that Sham actually listens to the show, because that was a little snippet in one. That's good. That was awesome.
Yeah. Well, he listens to the first 30 seconds at least. That's when that thing in. Look, if y'all are gonna listen to the podcast, excuse me, help us out with the views. At least listen 61 seconds.
61 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we don't. Listen, retention's not a problem. Somehow, most people that watch the show love our special brand of bullshit, and we're very thankful for all of you for that, because we're we were kind of talking about it. We've seen a lot of growth in the last couple months, and it's really fucking awesome to see all the new people getting into it. I'm getting new people who are constantly interacting on what the fuck was that?
What was that?
It was a big ass wolf spider. That bitch is about the size of a silver dollar.
And you picked it up? I don't do them things. I don't do spiders.
What the fuck, Paul?
I don't do spiders.
Look, if you grab it by the back torso, and if you grab it between your fingers like this on the back torso, and
absolutely not, sir.
And you pet it, it'll bark, and it sounds like a little dog.
Fuck you, Paul. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. I'm gonna add that to the list of things that you're lying about, because I think Tori's right. I was taken aback about you guys talking about eating raccoon last episode, and I think Tori's right. I think one of you was lying about it, and I don't think it was you. I think Clay, you guys might know him as the headmaster of Dork Adore of Hogwarts. But I think he lied about it. And I think you got too redneck for him when you were like, I like to hash it. And he was like, oh shit, he actually eats.
Look, you can tell by somebody's accent if they're lying or not about what they eat. I can guarantee you he's done it all.
Probably is. That's fucking gross.
Look, he's from South Carolina, man. I mean, look, that's what we do down here. I mean, if it walks, swims, we're gonna fry it up or cook it long and slow, aka barbecue.
I mean, is that like anything like cats and dogs too, or like are you guys a little more civilized than that?
No, we don't be eating our pets that are cats and dogs. I mean,
not their pets; they'll eat their neighbor's pet.
No, I love kitty cats, man. I want to hoard all the cats. I'm a cat lover.
He is a lover of felines.
In general, I mean, if it's a wild game animal, we're gonna eat it. That's what they're there for.
I mean, I'm from the city, so if I want something to eat, it ain't hard to find something to eat.
But same thing here. I mean, but that's exactly. It's a great analogy. It's the same thing. You walk outside your back door, and boom, look. Why you think we got bird feeders around here? Unlimited. No, but it's a buffet of squirrels.
I think again, like a view of Washington State. I talk to a lot of folks who are like, oh, like instantly they're like, oh, you know how to hunt? You grew up hunting? I was like, nah. No, not at all. And they're like, oh, you must do mountain climbing. No, motherfucker, I'm from Tacoma. Like, there's no fucking mountain.
There's two kinds of Washingtonians. You know, you either come from Seattle or that metro area that stops at Olympia, and everybody else is outdoors. I will not climb the mountains. The furthest outdoorsy shit I'll do is I'll be on my boat in a lake inside the city. I'll travel maybe 3 times a year to the country and go fish potholes or Moses Lake. You know, but you know the Washington's. You already said it is fucking weird.
It's fucking weird.
There's more coffee than food up here. Like,
there's also
there's a whole lot of people who come to Washington and they're very outdoorsy, and they came to Washington to be outdoorsy, right? And then you do have probably a good population who are just normal outdoorsy folks that are from there. But I think the bulk of the population, like along that whole I-5 corridor, right? Like. All the way Tacoma, Seattle, Renton, all the way up to Everett, right? These are like city people through and through. Like there's no, I mean, yes, they are wearing REI, but it's because it's trendy. It's not because they need it.
They're posers. Yeah,
exactly.
We ain't wearing North Face to enjoy the rain.
No,
it's because it's cool.
I've never met somebody who still lives in Washington who's so mad about the rain as you are, and you still live there.
You're
a
rain hater.
We're so bipolar up here. Like I'm bitching about the rain because we're currently in the freezing rain,
right?
Season. But when it's hot, I'm like, oh fuck yeah. When August hits, I'm like, oh come on, and then it drags on until like 1st of October, and then it's back to rain. And then I'm like, oh thank God. And then when that rain hits. November, December, I'm like, can we get the fuck out of it already?
Listen, if you want to get out of the rainy season, here's how you do it. Here's step 1. Move the fuck out of Washington.
That's the only way. That's the only way.
My wife, the first time she saw it, she was like, Mandy, she was like, man, it is so green here. And I'm like, yeah, It's very green. And she's like, oh, it's kind of nice. It's kind of romantic. Like there's a little bit of fog and there's a mist. And then like 3 days later, she's like, does it fucking stop raining? And I was like, no, dog. This is just you have a sprinkle at all times. Like it's that annoying like pissing rain that you get like in the fall time where it's just constantly just damp. And every time we visited, she has never gotten one of those like hot summer days. My poor wife thinks that it just rains. It is literally every time she's gone, it's rained the entire fucking time.
Well, she's 90% right.
Right. She's fully convinced that that place is just constantly wet and moist.
It is how we could tell if you're not from here, like at least Western Washington. If it's pissing down rain and you have an umbrella,
a fucking umbrella,
you're not from here. We either deal with it because we're pissed off about it, or there's those psychos that like it. So we'll walk in it with no hood.
She like there'd be times where it was like we were living in the city in Philly and it'd be raining and it's just like that little pissing rain. And my wife's like breaking out. She's like, where's your umbrella? I'm like, it's just a little bit of fucking rain. Like, you don't need an umbrella for it. And she didn't really grasp it till she came out there. And she's just like, how come your family doesn't own umbrellas? And I'm like, because it's just fucking rain. Like, it just does it all the time. Why do I need an umbrella? It's just, I'm going to be wet.
That's why we have REI.
Exactly.
It's called a raincoat.
No, the REI and the North Face stores and the Columbia stores and the Eddie Bauer stores are the tourist destinations, you know, because they come up here and they see how it really is, and they get the shit. And then you got hipsters like us that go in and like, this is what's trending now. We're gonna put this on. But 9 times out of 10, it's tourists that are in there.
Did you say Eddie Bauer? Is it
we have
1997.
No, it's huge in Washington. It's a Washington company, right?
Yeah, but it's like, I guess the Eddie Bauer is for people like in their 50s and up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, it's definitely an older person thing.
It's definitely an older, but we have in the Tacoma Mall of all places. There's an Eddie Bauer store.
And you know that your brand is trash if you are featured in the Tacoma Mall.
Right?
It'd be really funny. So it'd be really funny if anybody back home, like my family, listened to this episode because I'm gonna get text of like, why are you shitting on Tacoma so much?
Yeah. Why are you talking shit about Tacoma? And why the fuck is that Lakewood guy talking shit about Tacoma?
So Eddie Bauer is from Seattle. So yeah, that's I remember that being a huge brand. Real fancy folks would go to Nordstrom to go buy Eddie Bauer. This is like in the 90s when Nordstrom was like a fancy place to go to.
There was a Ford Explorer Eddie Bauer edition.
Yep.
Had the leather seats.
I think Ford had like a deal with them, you know, back in the 90s, you know, for the Explorer F-150 and stuff like that. It was like their higher end.
It was King Ranch version before King Ranch.
The King Salmon version.
The King Salmon.
Hey, how about these swim baits that you make?
That
we started talking about 30 minutes ago.
Oh, that's right. We did talk about it a while ago.
Welcome to Bassin Brews. 5% fishing, 95% everything else.
Right? No, so I would say for the past 9 months is when I really started making them. But I was making it for myself because it's like the sneaker game, you know, like people buy like a fuck ton of them and then resell them. So people like me that actually fish them to, you know, get the hook rash and get bite marks on it to actually catch fish. We can't even get a hold of them. We have to go to resellers pages on Facebook. So I said, fuck it. I'm just going to make my own. So I made my own, caught a couple fish on it, tested it. Looks great. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna start selling it.
What are you making it out of?
Resin. It's resin. A 2-part resin.
So
oh my God!
You're good, Paul.
Am I lagging?
No, I'm just being rude.
Happening last week, and
no, I'm just being an asshole.
Lagging. Let me go the whole damn show, and at the end, it ends up like, why are you like 2 seconds behind? I'm shit when it started.
No, we just overlapped. Go ahead, Paul.
I was gonna say, do you have an art background or an engineering background to be able to design? And because like there's some fucking geometry that goes into it. Do you have a background in that, or did you just like figure it out fucking Einstein or something?
I've always been into art, you know, since a kid. I used to my nerdy self was going to come out. I used to draw anime, make my own like comic books and stuff like that. So I've always been I was a tattoo apprentice for, a little bit. But yeah, I fished so many of them, and I know which ones, the angles of the joint, how they're built to get a certain swim of what I like. Right. So I don't want to say I copied, but
You're recreating it.
I'm doing different, degrees of the, testing flat on flat, 45, 35, or angled and then flat, you know what I mean? It's hard to explain. But yeah, I don't have any engineer background at all. I'm a roofer by trade.
Oh, okay. So, well, look, see, geometry makes sense then. I was in the construction world. Some of the smartest mathematicians I've ever been fucking around are like people in the construction world. Your framers, shit like that. Now, it is something that you learn, and every day you do the same thing, so you know it. But them motherfuckers could do shit in their head. I'm over here with like calculators.
No,
and the shit like that. It makes sense because you got that, you got that mind that can look at something and then
not me.
Part it out. I mean,
my dad could do division and fractions in his fucking head. I have to use a calculator. And what's sad about that is I own a roofing company, so like you know what I mean? Like I have to use the calculator, and then every time my dad will just say some math fucking quiz, and I'm like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Hey, that's kind of smart of you to own a roofing company in a place where it rains 90% of the year.
I gotta give all credit to my brother because he owns one, and I worked with him, and stuff like that. His dad owned one. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. There's plenty of houses out here. Just start one.
Look, it's kind of like plumbing. You got shit coming out your toilet leaking on your floor. You gonna get that shit fixed. You got rain leaking into your house. You gonna get that fixed.
I mean, I
hold off on this light not working, for a little while, but got rain dripping in on your face at night. You're like, get this shit fixed tomorrow. Call whoever's first on Google with 5 stars.
Yeah, well, it was a struggle, man. I've been in business for a minute now, and it wasn't until the last couple of years where it started picking up because the word of mouth and the customer service and stuff like that.
Good. Swim baits.
Yeah. So, all right. So when you're building these out of resin, are you like making a mold, right? And then you pour resin into it?
Yeah. So you got to start off with the master mold, right? So whether you do it with clay, balsa.
How are you doing it?
Clay. So my sister helped me. My sister is a commission artist, and my hand was broken. It's like, I want this, 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 and this, and this. And so she did it, and I dremeled to the point where I wanted the actual action to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I poured a few test baits and all that stuff. But you got to pour silicone around your clay or whatever mold. You got to, cut out your pour hole, and then you just mix your 2-part resin and all that stuff. It's not that hard. I learned most of it from YouTube and all that kind of stuff.
That's fucking crazy. I feel like that's the way you're making it sound is super easy.
It is.
I always thought it was way more difficult. Like soft plastics, like it seems like there's more steps involved in that than.
Well, get that initial damn mold. I mean, because you make a mold and you don't know if that bitch is going to work until you waste some resin.
Yeah, no, I have wasted a lot of silicone. Like it's just they're like trophies in my closet right now. I just
like that resin
shit ton.
Like let's say you make a prototype and it's just fucking trash. Can you remelt that resin down and do it again or no? No, it's tossed at that point.
You take it, you make keychains out of it and give it to your friends and family and ornaments on the tree. That's what you need to create an Etsy page for all your fuck ups and sell them as Christmas ornaments.
Oh shit, Paul, that's a
damn good idea. You get 10% off that.
Hold on, let me mark this down. We're gonna edit this part out because that's like $1 million idea. Like any swim baiter, like if you get a product that comes out all fucked up, like fuck that thing, just turn it around, sell it on Etsy.
Hey, here's the problem though: if you got enough bullshit to sell on Etsy and make money,
then you're a shit swim bait.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're ever gonna get one to ever be able to fish.
Now, I got it to the point where I sent it off to get like symmetry corrections and get like professional molds made. Because I was I was onto something. I had a couple friends out on the boat with me and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, man, what the are you using this guy's bait? No, I can't even get a hold of them. I mean, I have a sleeve full of them, of like ones that I've bought from resellers like a moron. But, I was using my own, and just the drawing power of it and how I made it. There's something about it, and one of my buddies are like, hey, you need to start producing these. So I wanted to dial it in first, get the weighting, of it, all that stuff, the certain hardware I use, and get it dialed in before I even flirted with it. It's not even out yet. But
yeah, what's your general profile? Is it of a trout?
So that's where I was like trying to figure it out. I was using a paintbrush tail. But now that I know how to make molds, right?
Yeah.
And mold stuff, I got 2 different kind of tails. So this is the first time anybody is hearing about it. So what I'm doing is I'm doing it different. I have two different molds, and I'm using a certain kind of rubber, the urethane rubber, for the tails. I have a shad tail, and then I have a trout tail, and then I have some random bullshit tail. But depending on what I'm going to release, like if I'm going to do a trout drop, it's going to be the trout tail, if that makes sense. If it's going to be a shad, shad tail for the, Southern boys, California guys, or East Coasters, there's a shad profile. So, with all the people that love to fish the trout profiles and the trout baits, there's going to be a bait for you.
So you're using a soft plastic tail on it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
I was going to do, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll ask some question when you finish.
I was going to do the paintbrush tail, but there's so many people that do it. And it's like, you can only you could put the paintbrush and cut out, the shape you want, but there's so many people doing it. So I wanted to do something a little bit different, because everybody pretty much has a shad swim bait. Everybody pretty much has a swim bait, right? So I wanted to, if I'm going to build off of that 7-inch glide, what can I do different? You know what I mean? And I guess I all have different tails. You know what I mean?
Is making a mold and pouring a swim bait like that, is that pretty much the same way that they come up with dildos? I mean, is it the same process to make the mold and the same rubber and shit like that? I'm just curious, because I bet there's some dildo designers out there that could potentially make some really good swim baits.
I think they just take some dude's Johnson and model it after that.
Well, I mean, isn't that what you're doing with your swim baits? Is just taking some fish?
I'm going to expand on this. Hold on, I'm going to expand on this. Paul might be onto something. What happens if you catch yourself a nice stalker rainbow, right?
Mm-hmm.
You take that fish, you instantly send it, just like somebody sent you Florida strain bass. You send this dead stalker trout to your favorite dildo maker, and he makes a mold out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I mean, they think about it, the precision and likeliness of it. I mean, they could be pretty good at that. But Alex, that is what they do for some of the soft silicone bait ones. Is they get a fish and then they freeze it, and then whatever they do. I mean, golly, it's probably the same way as making a dildo.
You could save money and do it yourself,
Well, what if you can't? Like, I can't draw a crooked line.
Yeah, but you could pour a shit ton of silicone on your wiener.
It'd probably burn.
Well, listen, sometimes you got to pay for art.
Well, yeah. I don't like making shit. I buy it.
What a derailment. Have you got? Are you handling the painting, or are you sourcing that out?
Well, I'm such a cheap asshole that I don't. I mean, I want to, because I can paint, but it's probably going to take. I've never used the airbrush. I've painted other ways. I've used markers, Sharpies to color stuff, or in a comic book style. I've used paintbrushes, but I've never used the airbrush. So, I mean, maybe that's something to think about. But I'm so cheap. I don't.
I mean, if you were an aspiring tattooist, I'm assuming that you could pick a airbrush up and probably pretty quickly dial that shit in and be done.
I probably could.
I asked you the question, did you have art background? And you never said yes, even though yes, you do. So I'm sure you could paint those motherfuckers and be solid at it in a short amount of time.
See, art background in Washington is completely different. You get those creative assholes that went to school. That's considered a art background.
Yeah.
You know, not people that started drawing in class and not paying attention that gradually became a degenerate that wanted a tattoo. You know?
How about this? Do you think that the I'm trying to remember where I'm getting this from. So do you think the paint job is one of the more important things when it comes to a swim bait? Or do you think so I watched and I'm really upset because I'm trying to find my phone. I can't figure out where they were basically talking about how the paint job is mostly to catch the fishermen, not so much the fish when it comes to swim baits, that the action means more. And even they were using resin baits like you're talking about, but they would color the resin. So darker water, they would just use a swim bait. It looked great, but it's just all black, like nothing fancy on it, all black. And then when it came to clear water, they would just use a full white resin, and that's it. No paint job at all. I understand you can't sell that shit, but do you think?
Well, I mean, they do. They you know, there's builders out there that will have a drop that's, you know, black and blue or white, or they'll just sell the blanks, you know, and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm torn on that. You know, I've been told by old schoolers, match the fucking hatch, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So there's sometimes I'll throw, if I swear I'm not getting bit on just something they should just be biting, like I'll have to go super realistic. But there's times I'll throw super realistic and not get bit and throw the dumbest fucking color and then catch a monster. So, I mean, I think the paint is more for the people than the actual fish, you know.
Color is strictly anecdotal evidence in fishing, which is predominantly most fishing. Forward-facing sonar is kind of helping us with some of that shit now, but in general, fishing and what is right and what is wrong is mostly anecdotal.
Yep. I mean, I got an active target, but I'm when I fish, I'm one of those people that just go off gut instinct, you know, what I feel. That's just kind of what I do, right? And there'll be times I'll look down, I'm like, okay. And I'll just go back to, I don't even know why the fuck I spent the money on it. I barely even use it, you know. And I don't know if it actually helped. I've only caught maybe one fish using it. Maybe I'm not using it right, you know. I don't know.
It's the same thing that you said with picking up, locking all the other rods in the lock box, picking up that swim bait. It's the same thing. You just got to go down there with that forward facing and learn it and use it.
I think
it ain't. You don't just pick it up and turn into, you know, Polinick. I know tons of people with it, and they don't catch much more fish than they did before. But you got to die. I mean, that's the whole thing about it. It ain't a magic bullet. It ain't a wand.
It's not.
Just, you know, whippity woppity fuckity do, and here you
it
are.
happens. That's. I mean, there's
language, Paul.
There's there's a professional angler that I used to watch who is absolutely against the forward facing sonar.
Is that Randy Blockett?
I wasn't gonna say it, you know, it's not my podcast. But you know, I listen to
him, and he's a grumpy old man. He hates that fucking shit.
He is. And I watch his shit and I'm like, dude, I use it and I'm not catching more fucking fish than I did when I didn't have it. You know, it doesn't.
I love it. He's become my new favorite YouTuber because it's just an old man. He's got like zero production value. There's like bugs flying around,
and he's just yelling at the camera or quietly talking. You know,
it's my favorite. It's like my new favorite, and he posts like every couple days, and it's just like, I took the girls to practice. Took the girls to practice, but I'm going to give you a full jig breakdown. Here's how you do it. You just fish it. All right. See you on the next one.
I mean, when I first got into bass fishing, I was so guilty of asking other people that do it. Well, how do you do it? You know, what do you do? When do you do it? And all that kind of stuff. It wasn't until, you know, really a couple years. I mean, I've only been doing it for a little bit. So a couple of years ago where I was like, you know, fuck it. I'm just going to do me. And it's worked out tremendously more. I catch more fish. I'm targeting the fish that I want, you know, and I'm just going straight off a gut and what I want to do. of course there's some, rules of it that you have to follow of where they're at and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, 39, 40 degree water, I'm pulling a smallmouth out of, 6 inches of water, more than once in a day, and it's pissing down rain and it's cold as shit, so I don't know. If you take anything away from that, just do you.
You bring up a good perspective, and I'll say this about when you're starting off, it is very useful to ask that information because there's a baseline, there's basics in fishing that we got to know. You said it is where the fish is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to start to be able to put yourself in a position to catch fish. Where are they? So, I mean, when you start off being inquisitive, that will help you expedite being able to create your own form of fishing, create who you are as an angler. I mean, not many people can just go, I'm going to start bass fishing tomorrow and then go out there and start catching 5-pound smallmouth and largemouth like some asshole on this podcast tonight.
That was by pure accident. Pure accident. Now, I mean, I get, asking, old timers or old schoolers, they've been in it for a while, but I was so guilty of just strictly taking what they said like literal, if that makes sense. But we have a little pond inside of a park, that, in winter, they're supposed to be shallow, right? The deepest part of that pond. Well, then why am I limiting out in the middle of January and it's snowing and they're shallow? You know what I mean? So like I would have days like that, right? And then I'd have a bad day the next day, and then I'd ask people, and well, they're here. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? Like it's all contradictory. What the old timers are saying.
It's putting the puzzle pieces together. Yeah. Somebody you need. Sometimes that person that ain't looked at that fucking 1,000-piece puzzle walks up and picks up a piece and puts it right in there and then walks away. So, I mean, it is what it is, but it's just, hey, fucking learn what you can learn, take it, roll with it, create your own little game.
YouTube is your best friend.
Yeah, right.
All right, man. Anything.
All right, before we head to it sounds like you listen to the show. What is the most what are we going to call it? The most controversial, the hottest take on the internet, which is the Bassin Brews shotgun round. I'd like you to give you a chance to shout out whoever you'd like to right now, because we're going to get to this next segment, and this is either going to be your rocket to fame, or those cement boots to drag you to the bottom, right down to the dark waters. So,
I'm going straight dark waters.
And for him being from the Northwest, I don't know what to expect, because he might say something that I completely disagree with, and I'm going to let him know about it.
And I'm going to let him know about it.
So are we shouting out, my handles and stuff
where
like
people
that?
Can find you, all that good stuff.
Absolute Bassin TV. I know it's super corny, but I couldn't figure anything else out because everything else is taken. On Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. But there's fellows out here, man, that are 10 times better than me. You know what I mean? I'm on here, but I'm going to take this time to shout them out. There's two swim bait guys, Frank Hedlund and Brent Davis, 253 caster on Instagram, and Frank Hedlund fishing on Instagram, catching footballs, Cody McKenna on Instagram. I mean, that guy Skimpy. There's a bunch of guys up here. Get bit or die trying. There's a bunch of guys up here, that are
your bitch.
Get your bitch or die trying.
So something else was on my mind.
Listen, everybody, go follow Get Your Bitch or Die Trying.
No, it's get bit or die trying.
He still said it again.
But there's Northwest anglers up here that are strictly bass fishing that are fucking hammers. There's guys chasing, the pro circuit and all that kind of stuff, doing the trails that are amazing up here. I just wanted to bring more light to Pacific Northwest and bass fishing, because it seems like we got a little pocket of gold up here when it comes to bass fishing.
Sounds like it. Fuck you guys. Like, where were you guys however many years ago?
YouTube was not around, sir.
Yeah, no shit, right? All right. So here we go. This is the shotgun round.
Oh, damn. That was the wrong button.
Go ahead.
There it is.
Oh,
There
it is. Yeah, you got to have the Steve Austin kick out to it. So here's how it is. You're not a politician. I don't need a whole explanation. If we need more, we'll ask. But we want you right off the top of the dome. Rapid fire questions. We need to know your answers. These are the most important questions when it comes to the Brewskis. And why I say that is because they are a wonderful bunch, but they are a fickle bunch. And we like to be really opening, but they will judge the shit out of you when it comes to these answers. So
I'm with it.
let's start out right out the gate. Wacky or Texas?
Both.
No.
That's not. You started off wrong.
Wacky.
Listen, hold on. We're going to pause it because you got to write it down because you thought you were going to be cute and go right out the gate and be. Listen, maybe you guys are hipsters out there. You thought you were going to circumvent the system and play politician already. All right. Crocs or flops?
Flops.
All right. Well, that's another wrong answer, but okay. Paul, you want to do a couple of these or no?
Crocs are gross.
I'll do all the ones that you forget.
Okay.
I got the list.
All right. So if you're sitting down for a 3-hour session of fishing, would you rather catch 5 2-pounders or oh shit, we got to change this. He's caught so many big fish, or 1 9-pounder?
One 9-pounder.
I knew the answer to that one.
Yeah, no shit, right? The dude's like second bass ever was gigantic. So
yeah. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Hell yeah.
That's a Washington thing, my man.
Hell yeah.
Digital high five.
Wrong one. Damn
Hell
it.
yeah. And then throw some jalapenos on that too. That
Fuck yeah,
delicious.
dude. Jalapeno, Canadian bacon, pineapple.
Fire.
Listen, back in the day, Domino's used to do a fiery Hawaiian that would do all of that. And then instead of marinara sauce, it was Frank's Red Hot. It was money.
Frank's Red Hot is the most.
That's probably why I'm so fat now.
Out there.
Frank's is very overrated. I will agree with you on that.
But it's like a mediocre, good taste, medium heat. I think it's fine. You gonna spend more on a rod or a reel?
Reel.
You wanted to say both again. I saw that. I saw it in your eyes.
I did. I did.
I fucking saw it. It almost came out of your mouth. I saw it. Hype jams or slow hype music or slow jams on the way to the water?
Man, I got to do hype jams. I'm from the ghetto, so.
so a lot of Macklemore.
Oh hell no. No sir, that's for a whole different niche. No sir, I'm not that much of a hipster.
So
smell like.
Do you eat largemouth?
I don't eat fish.
You don't eat fish? Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of eating things, have you ever eaten beaver?
A lot.
Okay. How'd you prepare it?
As long as it's in my face.
Somebody understood the assignment and knows where that one was going.
He's been practicing this for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, however long you've had him.
I've been looking in the mirror. Just this is what you're gonna say.
Did we hit them all, Paul? What did I miss? I know I missed some.
Yeah. No.
No.
I asked a couple, so we made sure we got them all.
Did we get them all? Because I know we got hammered, and we appreciate you guys keeping us honest. So the most important question: every great angler loves a good sandwich. What are your top 3 sandwich proteins?
Peanut butter. I love peanut butter and jelly.
Perfect.
Turkey and roast beef.
Safe.
Solid,
safe.
classic.
Safe.
It was safe.
Hey,
I mean,
would you ever make would you ever make a turkey roast beef peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
With how legal things are up here, I probably would.
I got that. You can say it. Weed is legal as fuck in Washington, so he's definitely
it's legal as fuck. You know, I mean, I don't do it, but if I were to be around people who do,
dude, you're a roofer. We know you do it. We got it.
hey, we're not all like that.
Well, listen, those were great answers. I'm a little disappointed. I know you said you don't eat fish, but you are from Washington. I was really hoping for a smoked salmon and cream cheese sandwich, which is amazing.
Lord.
Dude, on a bagel, amazing.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if it was my first time eating it, not the 20 millionth time.
That's true. That's true. All right, bud. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been awesome having you on. Thank you so much for bringing that perspective of the Northwest. Love having somebody from the homeland, from shitty South Puget Sound coming on, right? Is it still South? Or would Olympia be South? What is it, mid?
I've never figured that out. They call it South Sounders, and they call Seattle North Sounders, but it's like if you look
but then what's Everett? Because isn't that the sound still too?
Yeah, they call them North Sounders and Seattle North Sounders, but they're like 40 minutes away from each other. I don't know.
It's weird. But before you go, hang out for a minute. This is the dead giveaway, right? This is where I'm going to cut off the show and everybody gets fucking pissed off.